Hello everybody and welcome to the Thursday evening Shunting Yard stream at 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock like I already set it, which this is what happens when you have 4 people in 4 different time zones. Thank you very much for joining us all today. We have a very special guest today. We have Tom from Tom's Modelling Corner joining us today, replacing Rob.
Hello.
So Tom, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
That was short and sweet. We've got
Hello, guys. How you doing?
We've got Hilton as normal, who's sipping his whiskey, and we've got Dan playing Shadow in the background, who's having some video issues today with some internet, but is still joining us in spirit and in voice. Rob is off doing something to do with O-Gauge today. Don't know why, but there you are. And then there's me. You know, I'm just sat here doing as I usually do. I can see we've got plenty of people in the chat. We've got Aaron from Upwell and Allwoods. Hello. We've got Morewoods. We've got, who else have we got? Steve from Dinmore. Derek L, thank you very much for joining us. 3B Rail, thank you. Northeast Albert, Matt's Maritime, thank you everybody for joining us. It's amazing to see so many people here. So, let's kick this off with a very brief jump in to Tom. Since you're the new guy, let's jump in and I'm going to ask you to quickly introduce yourself to the folks, give us a little bit of background on yourself and your modelling, just so we can get kick-started. Honestly, can throw you straight in the deep end.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hello, guys. My name's Tom. You probably know me as Tom's Modelling Corner. I do videos on YouTube and Instagram and social media. So I mostly work on... originally, I started off making O-Gauge reviews, and then sort of led on to doing just simple model repair videos, and they seem to pick up quite a lot of interest. People seem to enjoy those, and it's basically me just film myself doing the sort of stuff that everyone else knows what to do, which is just how to service models, and in hope that people will gain something, but mostly just find them entertaining, really. So yeah. I also work on a kit builder. I do O-Gauge mostly with brass and metals and everything like that. I learned from my friend Mike at my Model Railway Club and everything, and so I've got a few projects in the works to do with O-Gauge and everything like that, and I try to I give examples of how I build them and things, and yeah.
Fantastic. Well,
that's all.
we'll find out about one of your recent projects in a few minutes. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. I know it was very last minute, but we had a very quick decision to try and think about whether or not we fill a position or not, and I think we're kind of glad that we have. Although I hope Rob will poke his head in at some point later on, if not, just to say hi.
Yeah.
But fantastic.
It's really, I feel bad.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
First of many, must tell everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So, touch wood.
Yeah, touch wood. You know, nobody knows what could happen tomorrow.
Don't mess this up, Tom. Don't mess this up.
I won't.
We'll ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, no way. To avoid that, I won't stand up. No joke.
Brilliant. So let's kick this off with some very brief news. I know there's been a little going on in the world, but not too much. Hilton, have you prepared anything 00 wise? I can only think of one thing that was announced in the last 7 days, but I might be completely wrong.
So here's the thing: there were so many things announced in the last 7 days, because last week we did the stream on Thursday, and then we had Friday 2 Rapido announcements, and obviously one of those was huge news for Great Western guys. So I'm sure you're all rejoicing. You can all fire up. Get your Welsh coal out, because Rapido have announced the county class, which is really exciting. And and you know, they've released plans to produce this model. I think let me just double check here. I think I've seen 3 liveries, but I'm sure there are going to be more. And obviously they've got different toolings. Some have got double chimneys that I saw, and I know that, you know, being Rapido, they're going to have that dynamic fire draw thing with their smoke, the firebox with the light. The factory fitted speakers stay alive, and it's obviously a 21-pin DCC decoder. Prices are increasing, which is interesting considering the topic of today's discussion. So you can expect the county at £250 DCC ready, and 364. It's but release date yet to be confirmed on that. And I really do feel like these guys are on a roll ever since, for a while now. They've got the Cali 123 that's just been announced, which I'm obviously super excited about. But they've also announced a little bit later on that same day, last Friday, they announced a GCR 15-ton brake van, which looks really, really nice too.
Yes, it does.
And those are priced at £46, 95 each. So, prices increasing all around the board. Then some smaller announcements, I guess. One I really like was that Model U are producing a range of 8 Severn Valley Railway themed figures, each depicting a member of the Severn Valley Railway volunteering team to raise funds for the railway landslip that occurred, I think it was in January this year. And they're available in Engage, Double O, and O, and prices start at $24.95. Wow. And what's cool about that is that 50% of the sales prices will be donated to the SVR in aid of that landslip and fixing it. So that's quite cool. I know everyone's pretty upset about that, especially the Great Western fans. Yeah. So hopefully we can get that fixed very soon.
I guess I'm going to be heading
and then the Yeah, go do it. Honestly, if you want some Severn Valley Rail, I'd do it too. To be honest with you, I think it's a good cause. It's a good cause. And then the last sort of smaller announcement is the LMS suburban coaches from Dapol. They're redoing them, and it's a slightly updated tooling. So these include new separately fitted underframe details, a dynamo, vacuum cylinders, extra framing, brake shafts, upgraded bogey pivot fixing, new UK produced metal wheels, new adapter clips for NEM pockets, and repolished glazing. Very exciting stuff. And these will be produced in British Railways Carmine and the LMS and BR Maroon versions. So I think some people are pretty excited about that. I know that the first batch sold out almost entirely. So very cool. Yes, James, your Rapido James Gin wagon, I know it doesn't leave you with a very good taste in your mouth. Oh, it's Dapol. I'm sorry, Dapol. Yeah,
with UK wheels.
Yeah, with UK produced wheels. Not very good, apparently.
No. Yeah, I was very surprised to see the LMS Suburban coaches come in, but I have one gripe with them, and I think a lot of people share the gripe, is they've stuck with an older coupling mount instead of going NEM pocket. It's the U-shaped styled clip with a slightly larger D-ring rather than the NEM pocket styled removable one. So I think they've updated the tooling enough. But
it is an interesting decision.
Yes, very interesting. But nonetheless, I would say
I feel like we're in the point now.
Where?
Yeah, sorry. No, I feel like we're at a point now where we really should be standardized across the board, and that includes especially Hornby and their railroad stuff. The fact that we're still getting new releases with D-link couplings just makes no sense to me. But yeah.
No, I completely agree with you there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Any additional things from Double O Gauge? Sorry. Or is that our lot for the week?
Not that I've seen. If I've missed anything, drop it in the chat. I'd love to know what I missed out. And also, I just want to find out in the chat, I'm sure there are some GWR fans out there, has anyone pre-ordered their county class? Are you excited about it? I'd love to know. It's a very cool announcement, I think. So.
I'm not in the chat.
I much needed one too.
I'm not in the chat, so I don't have to answer that.
So, but you did, right?
Of course I did. What's even worse is it's my least favorite GWR loco, and I still pre-ordered it.
Well, you're going to get really solid, right?
Because I'm going to get a really solid locomotive, so I had to.
Yeah.
And it's
like a sort of in between the castle and the king, I'd say. possibly, but
well, that's what it was. That's what the prototype was honed as, was between the castle and the king, and it failed miserably. But that's another story for another time.
Yeah,
we don't want to go full ham on the Great Western this early in, do we? Fantastic. Thank you very much, Hilton.
It's too soon. We'll save it for the late hours.
Dan, is there anything new in Engage that we should be knowing about?
You're going to have to come back to me in 5 minutes. I'm talking to the three guys real quick.
You carry on, buddy. You carry on. Okay, Tom, throwing you in the hot seat. What is there in Engage? I know there's quite a bit in the last week.
It has. In fact, actually, it's been brought to me this morning when we got an email from Rosa Sheffield. But I'm just going to start off with what Rob's recommended yesterday. So it's regarding NG7. Mark Holcroft, Model Works, is finalising his brand new kit for a NG7 mainline Hunslet. Mainline Hunslet tank engine with a tender variant likely to follow. And this runs on standard, like a sort of double O track, and it's got I've had a look at the pictures, and it has the Smokey Joe 040 chassis. So that's quite
interesting.
Versatile in that sense. So I reckon that we'll see that on Rob's in one of Rob's videos at some point on the kill line.
I'm very surprised if we did.
No doubt.
Yeah. It's almost tempting for me to have a good try, actually. I don't do NG7, but there again, I don't want to do his audience, but there we go. And then in terms of and thank you to Matt for bringing it up this morning. There's actually Rosa Sheffield. We've got quite a few. Actually, got quite a list of locos that have had been announced, either pre-orders or they've shown us decorated samples of models yet to come. So with Helgen, we got the new Class 37/0 decorated samples, and they start 8 variants, and they start at £568.65 each.
Wow.
So, which to be fair, that's actually quite good for an O gauge for that. Yeah. I mean,
that's Hilton. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Jesus. I mean, that's like the standard price for a Hornby train set now, isn't it? Even half that. I'm just exaggerating, but yeah. And we also got decorated samples of the production samples of the SR utility van. Also known as the what's called it? Parcel vans, etc. 13 variants, and quite impressive, starting from £169.15 each. That's for a wagon. Just one.
Oh. Just one.
Just one.
Just one.
Just reminding you, that's one wagon.
I'd say roughly it's about £10 cheaper, about £20 cheaper than an O gauge coach, which is kind of what you expect in that gauge, unfortunately. But
is it?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy though.
But again, but I'm really impressed with how good the quality is and everything. And there's some colours I didn't realise that I didn't know they actually did for that van. Like still check. Sorry, trying to scan. We got.
I am back for the record.
Fantastic.
Hi mate, you right?
We'll be there get to you in a second. Now, don't worry. Have you got a list?
So we got BR Golf. So the cars we got are BR Crimson numbered. We got SR. Sorry, we got a couple of colours in. Sorry, a couple of liveries in Southern. We got BR Blue. We got BR Golf Red. That's how you pronounce it. Yeah, we got Crimson. BR Crimson. Golf is in like GULF, if that's how you pronounce it. And we got Crimson. Yeah, a lot of Crimson, a lot of navy blue, a lot of green, that sort of thing. And next up, we've also got some decorated samples of the class 117 and 121 DMUs.
Solid.
So, starting from 228.65. That's not right. Oh, that's interesting. This morning it was like nearly £1,000. All right, here we are. Yeah, yes, I was right.
Oh.
For a pack of for a free car DMU set, you're looking at normally the retail price is £1,049, and the reduction is at £891.65 for a free car set, which probably costs maybe like 100-200 grand from Double O.
You really.
You could get a decent car for that, right? Like,
I bought my first car for less than that. Like
that seems the way now. Yeah. That's roughly. That's even cheaper than the Alice Clark's Black 5, which doesn't surprise me.
Hang on. The EC Black 5 is more expensive than a 3-car set.
Basically, you're looking at £900, £1,000 for a Black 5, and that's DC. That's not with sound or DCC fits or anything. So, for that.
Yeah.
I mean, Rob can vouch for you on this one. It's going to cost an extra 20, or like extra 50 quid maybe. There were a couple of, but yeah, sorry. And so I think that's it for. Let's double check. I think that's it for. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, we've got what's in stock right now. Is we've got class 35s, so class 45s. Okay, the peak logos. 8 variants starting from £568.65. And just quickly, sorry, because I don't want to sound like I'm butchering on, but I got a. That's it, Belgian. We've also got, in terms of Dapol, we've got the austerities, J94s. They're in stock now. And variants starting from £229.50. Sorry, £229.50. Quite tempted myself.
I was going to say £29.50. Come in, let's go.
Sign me up for some, I want 2.
Yeah, definitely. I would. That's a dream, isn't it? And we've also got. And we just had this announcement today. Thanks to Matt for letting me know. We got the Titanic Brewery Atlantic Red wagons coming out. And they come in 2 sizes. They're both from Dapol. They come in double O and O gauge, and the difference between the two is O gauge. It's in bauxite. Can I pronounce it?
I think so.
Yeah, the brick coloured livery for the British Rail. They come in for O gauge. It's £47.18, and in double O, it's in element. I think it's BL grey, and it's £11.
11 quid.
So you have for double O gauge.
Not terrible.
So you have the same variety of Titanic Brewery logos for the wagons. The difference is it's the different colours for different scales, and of course different prices for this. Which, yeah, £50 for a no-gauge wagon is not unheard of. It's quite, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
And yeah, so again, very expensive stuff. So I think that's it for this week in terms of bio-gauge. Sorry, I went on quite a bit, but yeah, it's
no, perfect. Thank you, Tom. That was very well.
All right.
Quite a bit of O-gauge, surprisingly, honestly. I was not expecting there to be so much in the last 7 days. No, thank you.
Well, Rob, it was funny. Rob told me there was nothing else to report, and then all of a sudden this email came up, and I was like, oh, okay. Wow, there's a lot of stuff coming up.
Rails have heard that we're going live today and went, no.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
They should give you a sponsorship or something.
Well.
Literally, yeah. Sorry.
I'd be very curious to know, just out of interest, James. I know you obviously bought the gin wagon, James gin wagon.
Yes.
But I'm seeing a rise in these sort of like almost sponsored wagons from various breweries across the country and stuff like that. Is that something that you guys are particularly interested in? Is that like, if your favorite beer came out, would you buy it? It's not period correct by any means. The novelty, right? It's like buying a Hornby Christmas wagon.
The only ones I've been interested in are the Veterans Day, the D-Day, the D-Day, or is it the VE Day ones that they announced a few weeks back. Mainly because I support the
right.
The charity itself every year. So this will be my way of doing the donation this year. I'll buy a few of the wagons. But other than that, I bought this because it interested me. I thought, oh, that's cool. It's a bit different. semi-regret it. Honestly.
Just semi-regret it.
Semi-regret it. If you haven't seen why I semi-regret it, I have a video on it on my channel. Selfless plug.
That's it.
But I mean,
I think the reason I would have bought that is just because...
For 11 quid, I think if you need to make up some rakes, you can dirty the crap out of one of them and make it fit anything, I would think. Yeah, I mean, I
think they come
as well appeals for sure.
Well, they come weathered, and it's a pound extra.
No, factory weathering is bollocks. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm calling out factory weathering is bollocks. Don't waste your money on it.
I know, to say for those who, if it's a last resort, yeah, then the options there if you need it.
Yeah.
You see, the thing is, like, I could see myself potentially buying a rake if I was theming it around like a modern heritage line that happened to have a brewery on the line or something like that, because then it makes a little bit more sense, right?
Maybe.
I just think they're very odd and out of place otherwise, especially if you're being really pedantic about that kind of thing. But hey, I'm just curious. I see that Matt from Matt's Maritime Rail says he's considering a beer train for wagons on his layout. So there's obviously interest for it. Just an interesting point.
Yeah. Sorry, I was laughing because I know that's what he's spoken to me a few times about that. So, I actually have. I mean, I haven't always considered going for them. I think I would have done it if it was reduced, and then maybe try and turn it into something else. But I was actually given an O-gauge wagon that was sponsored. It was for Christmas from my girlfriend's family. It's the Captain Birdseye fish van. At the workshop somewhere. We're not sure where it is. I'll show you. But yeah, but honestly, I mean, I really loved it when I was given it because it just felt like it was just such a lovely gesture. Like I wasn't expecting that at all, and that sort of thing, that little novelty as well. Yeah, if it's like it just says, I think in terms of serious modeling, you could probably just if you wanted to make it fit your layout and stuff, I guess just heavily weather it and stuff. If you're just happy with the novelty of just having this particular, then yeah. I mean, I was just very happy to have it because it was a. Yeah, and then it's quite fun as well. I mean, it's quite funny, and I think the logo and everything and the tampo printing was done perfectly. And if I can find it, I'll try and show it in the stream. But yeah, I think I probably need a couple more to sort of make the train longer. But yeah, it's like you can also play little stories with it. I find I can do things like say this train's full of fish fingers, or it's full of or it's full of chips or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of it all, right? Some storytelling, yeah, absolutely. I think we've lost James momentarily. I'm going to switch over. Yeah, Dan, are you there?
I am here.
Dan, tell us about Engage news this week.
All right, everybody, get cozy, get comfortable. This is going to take a while. So, in the last 7 days.
Got my cushion.
There's been a lot of Engage news, and that news is that Dapol has released artwork of their Manor class locomotives, and that is it. So that's my portion of the news done. And just a quick shout out again, like last week, I get all of my Engage news from engagenews.com. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook. I've talked to him briefly. He seems like a nice enough guy. There's not a lot of people out there covering Engage news, so it's a small community. So just try to help a guy out. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Dan. Have you pre-ordered that?
Hilton, what kind of question is that? Have I pre-ordered a GWR locomotive? Come on.
That's a yes then. Great,
that
Dan.
one.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Okay,
thank you, Dan. Appreciate it, man. That was a wealth of information, and I really do feel slightly overwhelmed at just how much news there was for Engage. But thank you.
I mean, that's Engage, though. And I'm sure it feels the same for O gauge at times. Double O gets all the attention, you know.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
I mean, it's pretty much the scale that everyone goes for. Like, it's yeah, pretty much.
Totally, absolutely.
Right.
Okay, Tom, I have a question for you, and that comes from Aaron from Apple and onwards. It's a very easy question. You can't mess it up. Question for Tom: what is your favorite model and your favorite real locomotive?
Oh, good question. Does it say what scale or what?
No, I think it's ambiguous. You can really go wild.
Okay, good. Okay, so although I do post a lot of videos about and pictures of like the O gauge, of the GNCs and everything, but I recently bought the Dapol's B4 tank, and that is, although it's not, I don't know, I've had quite a few people, including Rob, say that the 00 version's not that good. It's got a poor mechanism, poor chassis and everything. It's actually very good in O gauge. I feel like it makes up whatever it does in 00, it makes up for in O gauge. Basically, it's the smoothest runner. It moves effortlessly and everything, and it's got good haulage capacity, and it's thing like that. It's you can barely hear it moving, and it literally just shoots off. It's a bit like the early 040s from Hornby, where they just didn't have the right capacity put in. Everything like that, yeah.
So that B4 is the same one that Rob used to make Tom Rolt, right?
That's in 00, yes. The one I've got is an O gauge.
Yeah. Okay, got you.
So it's I think there's some details you can get right when it's in the bigger scale. When it's smaller, it needs a bit more work done to it.
Yeah,
but then Rob can vouch for that. Rob can vouch for that as well.
Absolutely. Cool. And then your favorite real locomotive.
Flying Scots was a good one, but at the same time, I grew up going to Dickers Steam Centre and everything like that, so I'm quite used to being around like all the 460s and everything like that, like the castles, the halls, and I think the King is one of my favourites.
Nice, good choice. That's a
Great Western King.
Choice, actually. I mean, I don't agree with you, but that's
okay. Fair enough.
Your favourite.
Only because of the memories, I think. Yeah. There's one year when I was working there. It was in 2014, and the Drummond T9. So Dougal Drummond's T9 was visiting, and the T9 used to double head with the King on the demonstration track. So it'd be the King along with the T9 and the two coaches, and everybody was going for footplate rides on the T9, but I kind of went for the King. Yeah, I missed the chance to go on the T9 for the King, but I just thought I didn't really mind.
No, I totally understand that. I mean, I do like the T9. I'd pick the T9 over the King, but given the size and magnitude of the King, I can totally get you. That makes total sense. All right, it seems we have lost James. So at least for now, he's probably dealing with. I know you had some family visiting or something like that. Anyways, I suppose what we'll do is I'll try and host this as best I can. Certainly not my forte.
You're doing great so far, mate.
But I suppose we'll jump into the conversation. Thanks, Tom. So our discussion today, guys, is, are model railways becoming too expensive? And I know that James had a structure that he wanted to follow in this. And
Tom, can you hear Hilton?
No. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can hear Hilton. Yeah. So I can hear. Yes, I can hear Hilton. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. You.
Okay. Cool. All right, Dan, you can hear me. You good?
Your audio has been really laggy. Your video comes in and out, and your audio is super laggy.
I'm all over the place. Well, I unfortunately can't leave and reset my internet right now, all times. But
I'm familiar with the. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sorry about that, guys.
I mean, that's just an interference, but I think that should be fine.
Yeah. Okay. As long as you can kind of hear me now and get the gist of what I'm saying, that's probably the most important thing. Okay, so the discussion today is are model railways becoming too expensive? And I think there's a lot of angles we can tackle this from. But I think let's basically look at it from the beginning, where I guess everyone starts as, when you buy a model train set. I think the discussion here would be, obviously there's different types of sets. You get starter sets and you get some slightly more advanced DCC sets. But in general, the thought around, is it too expensive to just get going now? I mean, you could make the argument that perhaps, you could buy all the parts separately. For one, recently we were discussing, yes, Phil, I'm hosting now. For one, recently I saw that Gauge Master was releasing an O gauge starter set with a Class 8 shunter.
Yes. Oh, that's what I forgot to mean.
And it was like 300 pounds or so. Honestly, that's a really good price to get going in O. I mean, you don't get any wagons or anything like that, but I think that's a pretty decent starting point for O, right?
I agree. I mean, that's but the loco itself is worth obviously 200, everything, and so the extra, make an extra 100 just for the track alone, and the other things to come with it is actually quite, it's pretty fair.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. But I mean, yes, like you said, there's no wagons with it, so it kind of loses that touch of it being a train set, because the idea is you're meant to have a train with it. Otherwise, it's just a locomotive set.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, if we look at, you'd probably be paying another 60, maybe 80 pounds for some secondhand wagons. So that takes it up to about 400 pounds. I mean, even still, it's still not a bad price to get going in O gauge. But I mean, let's speak a bit more broadly. Let's speak about N. Let's speak about Double O. As for starter sets, I think, with the exception of something like the Mallard or Flying Scotsman, we're not talking about Flying Scotsman yet, guys. But no. With the exception of those two sets from Hornby,
take a shot for those.
I don't know if Double O pricing. Yeah, that's true. Take a shot. The Double O starting prices, especially if you look at Hornby's latest set prices, I think that from the January update, they're really well priced for starter sets. In general, I think their prices are very competitive now, much more competitive than they've been for quite some time. I think most would argue, and especially with the appeal of something like a modern. I don't know my modern traction super well. What are the East Coast mainline trains called? The Flying Scotsman type Linear Plus 800s or something like that. Zoomers, whatever. I don't know. Sorry. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's right.
But for a starter pack with something like that in it, I think that it's a good price.
I agree. I think unfortunately, I think. So I actually went and saw a Flying Scotsman train set in a toy shop recently, not far from where I live, and it was something like £300, and I think. We had the Flying Scotsman starter set years ago, and I can't remember the exact price, but it wouldn't have been as expensive as that, I don't think, because
Sure. Yeah.
In most places, when you buy a starter set, you have you could buy that, and then you probably get some extra presents along with it. But when it's today, you probably you wouldn't get the extra presents. You probably just get the one thing and the train set itself.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
No, that makes sense. No, absolutely.
So it doesn't have that kind of like traditional sort of birthday feel anymore. It's like you literally, do you want the train set or do you want all the other stuff? if you're starting out. But.
I hear you. I mean, I'm actually going to go on to Hornby now because I want to just double check their pricing on starter sets. But Dan, have you got anything to say about N-gauge starters?
Well, I can't really speak too much for engaged starters. I haven't seen all that many. I know Graham Farish does a handful, and Dapol kind of bundles locomotives and coaches together, but I haven't seen them, release like a track, transformer, locomotive, rolling stock all in one. Here in the U.S. for N scale, Bachmann and Kato make starter sets. The Bachmann starter sets are kind of junk. They come with the cheapest, lowest detailed, rolling stock and locomotives. I suppose you could argue that it's good value for money when you break down the prices individually, but it's I would actually recommend against getting any Bachmann starter stuff here. The Kato stuff is okay. It's mechanically sound. They run fine. They run smooth. Not incredibly detailed for their starter set stuff. But, you kind of have to ask yourself, what does a good starter set look like to you? Because there's something across all scales and gauges that's kind of missing. I've noticed not many starter sets come with turnouts anymore of any kind. They're usually sold as an add-on. And, let's say you've got a kid, you're trying to get interested in trains. Even as much as I like trains, I can only watch them go around in a circle so many times before it's kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to go do something else now, That's my 2 cents, I guess.
But then can you say that also encourages you to buy the train packs to add onto it and then grow your train set and grow your train set? But then I agree, because you kind of want more excitement with it, but then again, but then isn't the point of the sort of loot train sets to sort of encourage you to buy more, expand your make a proper layout and stuff?
I don't know. Well, okay. Speaking as an American, I had a handful of friends growing up who also had trains. But I'm the only person I know that actually took it any further than just like a basic loop. That's not true. I had a friend who had Lionel stuff, and he got a couple of things, but he dropped the hobby. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people get those basic original train sets, and they might take them out once or twice, and then they kind of get stuffed away in the attic, and then 20 years from now, when somebody's cleaning out the house, it ends up in a yard sale. I've actually got a train set just like that sitting in my closet right now. Very similar story to that, as a matter of fact. But America doesn't have half the train culture that the UK does, so maybe it's a stronger magnetism towards trains over there. I don't know.
Cool. Okay, so I'm just
No, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, no, sorry. I was just gonna jump into some of the comments here. Phil from PN Motorsport says it's getting more expensive. Costs of manufacturing have also increased, and obviously that's definitely a factor there. Although one would argue that this year Hornby's pricing around their starter sets is probably better than it has been for a while, even if you account for inflation. Let's see. King Ori says, even though I'm a double O gauge man, that O gauge starter pack is a good price. I agree completely with you. I think a few of us have seen it today and thought, that's not bad. I could do that.
Yeah. I'm tempted to sort of.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm sort of tempted to maybe go for that starter set just to review it, really. But
absolutely. Completely agree. I've always wanted to get the Guinness shunter the 08 that they have.
Yeah,
it's got like a harp on it, and it's not because I work for Guinness, but I love the look of the Guinness 08 shunter. So
I have it here in the workshop right now.
Way to get into O.
That was actually my first loco, funny enough, the Guinness 08. That was my first loco, actually, the Guinness 08, yeah. Yeah, because I don't live... Funny enough, I'm not too far from Chelsea and Wallingford Railway, where two of the original Guinness 08s are actually preserved. We've got Lion and Unicorn, I think. Yeah. But I can get it out if you want me to. I can look for it quickly, and I think it's...
Yeah, go grab it. I'd love to see it. Love to see it.
And James back.
James back. Oh, thank God, James. It's like,
sorry.
I can't do this.
over the speakers, I heard my daughter crying, and lo and behold, it was for me. So I had to go put her to sleep. Sorry.
It's all good, James. I'm just going through some comments right now. Sorry, we were just talking about startup prices. So
yeah.
RJ's trains his laughs at you all in the cost of American O gauge. I think that is a whole other stream on its own, honestly, because I have some stuff to say about American O gauge, because that stuff is crazy.
I do too.
Bob's already started with the NJ.
Yeah. Double O Duo says that Class 08 has seriously got me thinking about a little O gauge layout. Yeah, absolutely with you there, Gaz.
This is the new set that was announced by Gauge Master, right?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
That, honestly, I almost bought one. I genuinely thought about it today. I really thought about it.
Yeah,
the only thing that lets it down for me is the lack of wagons. If you haven't mentioned that, I tried to drop in while I was putting the board to sleep, so I didn't get most of it. But I think that's the only thing that lets it down for me.
I don't know if you heard, but I was calling it the locomotive set rather than the train set because there's no train to pull. So
yeah.
And here is the boy.
Oh my! I want it, Tom. I want it. I love
DCC Supplies. DCC Supplies commissioned model. Also, this is the original livery, I think, because the one at Cholsey and Wallingford, they've actually painted the front and the back. They have a luminous yellow front and back, I think.
That is so cool. It's such a cool livery.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's the thing I love about continental liveries on English locomotives. Just looks so making it look more interesting and everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Where
were we with comments? Sorry, Hilton.
Sorry, I was just replying to another message. Okay. Sorry, I have to go back quite a ways now.
Oh no.
Laughs at all of you in O gauge. Okay. Spring Cottage. It's not crazy to get going for a second-hand 00 train set, but then from then on, it's expensive in the UK at least. Yes, agreed with that for the most part. Spring Cottage. I suppose because we're talking about English stuff, I'd agree with that. I mean, if you look at European and continental prices for second-hand, that's nuts. That's a whole different ball game. Yeah.
I've considered doing some European stuff while here, and even the second-hand stuff is crazy. Just don't even think about it. Like the primary stuff is expensive, but for some reason the European stuff holds its value, like, considerably.
Yeah. James, I just want to jump in here. Sorry, there's before you keep going. Model train shop, that is Rinka, saying your sound is bad, by the way. I just want to check, is everyone in the chat hearing all of us okay? Is there anyone who's too loud or too quiet? Please let us know, and then we can adjust on our side as we go. We will wait for your comments.
Where was that?
Got my... Oh, that was me, sorry. Sorry. That's my just making sure. Just double testing that's working. Double testing is working.
Right, while we wait for some additional feedback, Northeast Albert says, yeah, seems totally fine. You're too hollow. You are too hollow, so to speak. Which of us? I think James can come up a bit. Maybe it's just because I'm trying to be a little bit quiet. I'll raise my voice a little bit and see if that helps.
It might be if I'm honest with you, I had to put the headphones in just to be able to hear some of you. So I'm not sure if it's the microphones or...
It's very possibly my microphone.
It's very quiet.
Yeah.
Which is strange because
I've got mine right here.
Right.
Carry
on with comments.
But with headphones, I can hear you clearly. I can hear you loud enough as well. So.
Well then, Eternal.
How's my audio for everybody? I'm trying very hard not to be too loud.
No, you're good then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Carry on.
Right, let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. Grab some more comments. I'll try and sort this out.
Okay. Double gates, it's just Flying Scotsman. You can't escape the truth. It's still too early to talk about Flying Scotsman, guys. Come on. Later, please. Phil said...
Who was that? Was that Matt?
No, that was King Ori.
Oh, right, yeah. I got you.
Phil says I paid £150 for Flying Scotsman starter set, and that was last year. So that's not bad, actually.
That's really good.
If I look at the Mallard Record Breaker, it's £250. I'm not seeing a Flying Scotsman on Hornby's homepage, which is extraordinary.
I found it. This one for
£50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not exactly cheap. And it's just because of the name. It feels like more than anything else. It's not. It's a railroad model still. It's not like the high end Flying Scotsman. All right. Let's see. King Ori says 6 years ago I got the Scotsman set was £65. Now it's 200 plus. Now that's a comparison. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a degree of inflation there, right? Could argue with that, I suppose. Albert says, I think I've seen the recent Hornby Networker set go as low as £70. I'm not surprised, to be honest, because I don't think that's a particularly cool set or nice set. I don't know who that appeals to.
What, the network?
Sorry, James. I know you've got one.
I got one for free, I know you've got one. I'm not complaining.
Rinka says better starter sets are in German starter sets. And I would agree with that. I think across the board, I mean, Continental starter sets are absolutely outstanding. The level of quality does not drop between a starter and a loco at a premium price. So, like, what you're getting from a starter with like a Trix or a Marklin is probably going to be as good as the high-end locos, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Rinka also says Kato N is good, but the track is crap. And Dan, maybe you can chip in on this one because I know you've had Kato track previously. How do you feel about that?
Well, I hate to say it, but I'd have to agree. And the really sad part is it's one of the better tracks for N, because the Bachmann stuff is just trash. I mean, you couldn't give it to me, to be honest.
I'm not familiar with either of them, so I can't really comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. But I'll take you and Rinka at your word. It sounds like that's something to avoid.
I have a question for the comments, the commenters. I've been told a few times that Kato is treated as a premium brand in the UK. Is there any truth to that?
There you are. Is
can't-
Cato a premium brand in the UK? I mean, considering the likes of what Pico, Bachmann, who else does ready to run Engage track? Also, am I sounding any worse or any better?
You mentioned Pico.
You're a bit louder for me now,
Oh.
so. Yeah, I would assume Pico is like a fairly good baseline for anyone modeling British, right? I don't know if I can speak to American, but I have always seen Kato as kind of like fairly high end within N, anyways. To my understanding of it, like, you know, a lot of, I mean, Japan is just in gauge or in scale, right? And a lot of their, I'm sure they're the Hornby of Japan. They're pretty well entrenched over there.
Yes, Kato is very much seen as a premium brand. There you go. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Over here, I would consider it more middle of the pack, based on pricing. Actually, depending on what type of product you're looking at, you could even say Kato is a more budget-friendly brand. But that really depends on, like I said, the type of product you're buying from them.
I'd be curious to know, Dan.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, man. I'd be curious to know, because I wonder if, in terms of your pricing over in the US, Kato is a lot more affordable, whereas for the rest of us in the world, it's a slightly more premium thing, just because of I don't want to say the distance from us, but generally, yes, it's a lot further away from us.
Kato
they are not the one
definitely plays with regional pricing. There is one Japanese steam locomotive I am interested in purchasing, and that's a D51. And to get a Kato D51 DCC ready here in the U.S., the last time I looked, it was around $150 from a U.S. retailer. Now, if I go look at a Japanese website in Japan, even with the conversion rate and the shipping and, you know, all the factors combined, I can get a Kato D51 DCC ready for $81. Exact same SKU number. So I don't know if that's, you know, Kato playing the home team advantage or what, but I will also say that in terms of, you know, rolling stock, most Kato coaches for the US style coaches, they tend to average between $25 and $40 depending on feature sets. Whereas you can get a Japanese style passenger coach from Plaza Japan for like less than $10 a coach sometimes. So if you shop around and you know, you can make it more budget friendly. But I was just curious because I've had several N-Gage friends tell me that Kato is kind of viewed as a more premium option. Which, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would. Maybe it's a premium price, but I would say you're getting very middle of the road quality.
Fair enough.
Okay. I was going to look at the D41. So, is it D51 you were considering buying?
Yes.
I was just having a look at just how much it costs.
You should know why I want a D51.
It's here.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Let's not cross that bridge.
I think so.
Let's not cross that bridge.
If I'm honest, but I was just having a look at the prices in the UK, and actually they're actually, yeah, you said it was at $81. Did you say?
Yeah, $81 on Plaza Japan.
Okay. I was thinking it's got quite a few.
What's up?
I I would say we've got one example here that's roughly the same price. Looking at £90 here, and there's also another one that's about 150. That's on Amazon, I guess. But then again, that's offering free. That's probably.
Well, look, this
90 pounds is probably like 120 American.
I see it, yeah.
I haven't looked in a while.
Well, look, so this sort of segues into the next section that we would probably go into. So we started off with sets. Now this is where we can talk about individual models, because individual models is where a lot of people, and I'm assuming a lot of most of us, a lot of people in the chat, most modelers are going to be thinking about where their money is going. Is the individual price of locomotives, price of rolling stock, coaching, all of that jazz. And it's whether or not we feel that those are too expensive, and whether or not we're getting the amount of bang for our buck, whether it's where those prices are coming from. Prime example I've seen in the chat is, yes, we can talk about the Flying Scotsman. We will talk about the Flying Scotsman because it is a good baseline, because Hornby bring out a new model of it every year without fail. So it's like a Freddo. You can measure inflation in the UK with a Freddo.
What the hell is a Freddo?
It's a little tiny chocolate frog that 20 years ago cost 10p. And now they're going for like 40 or something stupid like that. I haven't been in the UK for ages, so I have no idea. But the problem is that inflation has caused it to quadruple in price. And so that's what I go off. That I go off bananas, baked beans, or Freddos. And now we can go off the Flying Scotsman, because I think somebody mentioned further up in the chat that they bought a Flying Scotsman 6 years ago. So King Ori, 6 years ago I got the Flying Scotsman set, was 65 quid. Now it's 200 plus. And there's your comparison. Now that is mostly due to inflation, for sure. But is there a detail difference? Yes. Is the detail
you might think
worth it? Is the question. You know, are we getting our money's worth? Now this is where I think things like the railroad range are fantastic. What Hornby are doing with the railroad range and railroad plus range, especially this year, is bang for buck. You know, there are models there that I want to get. You know, they may be slightly less detailed, but it's money. It's easy money for them because it will bring people into the hobby. They're less detailed models, sure, but they're affordable. People are going to buy them. They're going to get people in the hobby, and I think that's a fantastic way of marketing. And I think they've really hit the nail on the head there. And they're not expensive. I think one of the 08s was what, 80 odd quid for a DCC ready class 08, and then the sound fitted was what, 100, just over 100.
That did shock me, actually. Yeah,
like for a sound fitted locomotive, 100 and something quid. The chip itself is retailing for 120. You know.
Yeah.
Well, it'll probably be. I don't know if it'll be HM7000 or if it'll be an older. I mean, even if it's HM7000, the chip itself is retailing for 70 quid. You know, so you're saying 70 quid for a piece of hardware, and another 50 quid for the locomotive. That in itself is value. You know.
James, I have a business idea.
Hit me.
It was a joke.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it.
I did. It went straight over my head.
Yeah, same.
But so I think, especially for Double O, there are a lot of things that have too much detail, and whether or not that is worth the price. Prime example of this is I'm going to have to say the Cavalix and the Acura Scale Class 60s. It's sort of a battle of the Class 60s now. for these two, because they're both incredibly well detailed. They're both incredibly well price matched for the amount of detail that you're getting. And a lot of people would argue that it's value for money, which is which is great. But not everybody is doing that. Not every manufacturer is doing that for their newer models. Some of them are charging through the nose for old tooling, Bachmann,
Hornby,
as normal. It's about, the main problem here is it's all relative. It's whether or not you want to spend your money on that particular thing. We can say, is it too expensive?
Yeah.
Is it too cheap? It's all personal opinion. Because for me, I don't want to spend 300 quid on something that I'm not going to use. I'm not going to waste my money on something that I'm going to pay import, things like that on. Whereas something like 120 quid Class 08 might be a nice thing for me to buy. Hilton, you're completely different. Somebody throw a 37 at you, you're going to throw money at it.
Don't judge me.
But that's just my 2 cents on it. I don't think you can, as much as we've chosen our models expensive as a broad topic, I think it's a very difficult thing to go on. It's a very difficult thing to scale up and to say all models in general are, or all models in general aren't. It's very, very specific. We can call specific examples out. I think the steam generator Black 5 is too expensive. Personally, I think it's too expensive.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it. I love it, and I think it's a fantastic model. The LED lights annoy me a little bit because of all the, I've seen a lot of people complaining about them, but I still think it's too expensive. I think they're trying to, I don't know how much it costs to build it, and that's the other thing as well, is we have no idea what the manufacturing costs are for these runs, and as to why the prices are being put up. If it's purely because these manufacturers are trying to keep their profit margin up, because Hornby, they've had another net loss last year, a massive net loss last year, and if they're hiking up their prices just to cover that, then what's the problem?
Okay, Tom, you go, and then I'll jump in because there's some stuff.
I was thinking. I think that's one thing that's always been in the back of my mind. Why the prices for Hornby are so expensive is also because they're in depth still, and it's been like that it's now well over 10 years now, and everything like that. But I mean, I can't remember when they started getting into that state, but yeah. So there's times where you kind of think, when they're selling something like when they sell an ordinary 060 for about what used to be £30 to £70, you kind of think, they're just trying to exploit people a bit. But then you sort of remember, they're trying to regain their losses, and as well as pay for, obviously, make up for the manufacturing costs and everything. That way.
Yeah,
makes sense. But I mean, I don't have a problem with certain models. I think there's some models that obviously have more detail put into them, and the cost of that can make them. In terms of, I don't know if this is going off topic, but the B4 they brought out recently, that is.
Don't start with that.
It's a new tooling.
Sorry,
is that good?
Yeah, not the B4.
No, but if I'm just glad of anything, I'm glad they didn't make a fully detailed B4 like Dapol did, because then you just sort of think, they're just doing another copy of another company again. They actually made this. It's poor quality. It's using the same chassis again, but it's original.
Sure.
And it's affordable.
Agreed. And
that's what I like about it.
If I look at, I'm looking at Hornby's website right now. So the Valley Drifter, okay, the newly tooled B4 that we're speaking about is called the Freight Runner train set. Now that comes in £79 pre-order, right? Which I'm assuming is going to be the listing price once it's done. That's a great price for a starter set. I believe So the Valley Drifter is currently sitting at £99, and that's the older, that reused tooling. We've seen that tooling so many times for an 040. So the fact is that Hornby's new starters are now cheaper than their starters have been for quite a few years. Yeah. And I think it's, James, to your broader discussion around Hornby in particular with their toolings. Like, Railroad is cool. I certainly advocate for what Railroad is. It's a great way of getting people into the hobby. And while you say that they were on a net loss last year, I know that there were some very positive financials for them in the last quarter, I think, over Christmas. So, that was very good for them. They had a really positive start to the year with their release schedule. I think was very, very well received. It showed off new toolings in the Railroad range of stuff like the Azuma. It's certainly a locomotive I'd consider picking up. I love detail, but for that kind of locomotive, I don't need to have that much detail on it because it's going to be rocketing around my layout half the time anyways. But that's besides the point. The point is, they've put money into working on a new tooling that is not an old Lima chassis. I mean, an old Lima body or something like that. And they're making a concerted effort to step forward. And something that Rinka mentioned in the chat earlier is, he said, guys, you forget one thing. Their issue is old tooling. They've always had a captive market. So why improve? Hornby's only starting now. And I agree with that, Rinka, but better late than never, right? I'm glad it's finally happening. But I think the problem with the 00 market in general is that it is a captive market. For some reason, we as British model railway people seem to be stuck in the past. We genuinely do. If I look at the stuff that Continental and American guys are doing with their models, they're 10 times better. They're more detailed. They're much more refined. And we're paying what we would argue as very high prices. I mean, Continental stuff is even just way, way more expensive. But the reality is, we're still not getting exactly what we probably deserve for what we're paying.
I agree.
I mean, I'm going to hark back to Ori here. So Ori says, I'm really pleased about the Hornby investing into the Railroad range, the 800, the B4, etc. It's lovely to see, especially for me. Yeah, I mean, so this is a class act of Hornby noticing that they need to start bringing people into the hobby and they need to make it affordable. And what they're doing is they're using these older toolings to do that. I think they tried doing it with the previous launch of Railroad stuff, and they released a few they released a few items, and the one that sticks to my mind is the 14XX. They released a Railroad range 14XX not long before Dapol announced their newly tooled one. But they did it the complete wrong way. Is they didn't even think about having any sort of DCC capability, and they just released a set of old tooling stuff, and just went, here, have it. And all manufacturers are guilty of it. Bachmann have done it very recently with a few of their models where they've tried to pile on the panic before Christmas and throw a load of older tooling stuff in, and not ancient tooling. We're not talking ancient tooling here. We're talking less than 10-year-old toolings, which they don't necessarily need an update, but there are certain hardware kind of things that should be updated. And I think that's where the crux is trying to get your bang for your buck here. Is the level of detail doesn't always matter. It's about making sure that the mechanism, making sure that the guts of the model that you're getting is up to scratch with modern standards.
One thing I did always wondered though, so I was just thinking back to the Class 60, if both companies are trying to make the most detailed version of that model, and at one point, how do you make it different if you're trying to make it exactly to scale and actually exactly as you see? Because I kind of think, well, I'm basically just making the same thing exactly the same, because it's got to have all these details and exactly that scale, all these features. I was thinking that with when Hornby made the Terriers a few years ago, probably the major thing I could think of that was different was the going firebox in Dapol's terriers, and that was the only real major thing I could think that was different about it. But there you go. I need to kind of I think I need to look back on that and sort of see, like, I don't know, watch a video where someone's bought both and then sort of try and compare them. But yeah, it just sort of make you think. If everyone's making the same thing, then at one point, can you say this is officially Hornby? This is if it makes sense.
There's a counter to this, and competition breeds good. And I think this is what's this is what's going to happen with this whole multiple people making multiple models. So I was in the same boat. I'm trying to remember, there was a release not long ago. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was two manufacturers. They were making the same model within 20 minutes of each other. Literally a week after one announced, the other announced it, and they'd had it. I think Hornby, it was that they'd had it at a later stage than the other model, the other manufacturer, so they spat it out and got it done. And I think that kind of competition is healthy, because it forces good quality. Because if you want to sell your model has to be the top quality. It has to be the better quality for a better price. Now, if you look at the Acura Scale, Cavalex, and Hornby Class 60s, the Hornby Class 60 is the inferior detail-wise, but is it the inferior price-wise for bang for buck?
Yes.
I mean, it is. It is.
I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
But what's happened is you've ended up with Acura Scale and Cavalex making two Class 60s that are top of the range, and they are pinching the pennies on a top of the range model. And that's what you end up with. You end up with not one model that is above everybody else's and extortionate in price. You end up with two that you can choose from that are reasonably priced. And I think that's the thing that I don't mind about it. Look at Rapido and Hornby are doing the J15. I can expect this will be exactly the same. This will be almost exactly the same thing. The level of detail on Rapidos will be better because it's Rapido, and I expect that. But price-wise, I expect them to be very similar, and I expect them to sell very similarly as well, because they're making two different sets of them and they're working in collaboration. And that's what I think. That's what I think is great to see, that two manufacturers have gone. They've done the Spider-Man thing where they've hang on, and collaborated. J52, there you are. Thank you, PN Motorsport.
We could do that here.
We could do that here. But I think
wrong, but doesn't that happen rather a lot in the double O gauge, community? It seems like there's double releases, a couple of times a year at least.
I mean,
it does. I think because like I say, we were like Bachmann when Acura Scale were bringing out the new panniers, Bachmann wanted to sort of jump in on that, to have some available, even if it was the old tooling, to just have some available, and that's what Hornby's done with the J50. Even if it's new tooling, but we need to sort of see what's the difference between the two. So it'd be interesting, but it's always from the more well-known manufacturers rather than, like I say, people like Rapido and Acura Scale, who are still relatively new in some respects. To James's point about Hornby and Rapido going toe-to-toe on the J52, I wouldn't be surprised if Hornby pulled out a really decent little loco here. I really wouldn't. Knowing that now they've made it very public that they're working almost with Rapido, not on obviously on the tooling or the model itself, but on the fact that they're balancing liveries between the two of them. I feel like Hornby could come out the gates with a pretty decent little model, because they know what the competition is. They know the quality of Rapido.
Yes.
And I think it'll be decent, honestly.
And honestly, I think they need to go for it. I think they need to gun for it, and I think they need to prove that they are capable of making a premium model in direct competition with another manufacturer. I think they need to prove it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, I think they're gonna end up blowing themselves out of the water. I don't know the manufacturing side of things or anything like that, but from what we've seen from the last few years. Sorry, go Dan.
I'm gonna have to cut out early. I got a situation.
Not a problem, mate. You have a good day, mate.
Cheers, Dan.
Nice talking to you.
Take care, Dan.
Nice seeing you, Hilton, James.
Cheers, buddy.
Pleasure's always.
Talk to you guys later.
Cheers, Dan. See you soon.
So yeah, I think they need to do it. You know, we've seen them seen them take a few hits over the last few years. They lost Simon Kohler. They've been mopping up everything from. I think that's what's happened is up until the end of last year they were mopping up everything from the Simon Kohler era, and then they came out in 2025 with this is our new strategy, and that new strategy was screw TT.
Yeah,
I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, I hear you.
It was screw TT. We need to push Railroad because
at the club we. The railway club, the TT just got loads of. A lot of people were just saying how I think a lot of people saying actually, it was just a pointless scale, really. But it's just, there's no point in sort of continuing that. Just stick with what we got because that's where most people are collecting them.
I totally agree with you, but I will say that TT at this point sits in a very nice space for anyone new to the hobby.
Yes.
Like as a size, I said it last week in the stream, TT is a delightful size. It's the perfect balance. It's still got all the detail. I think it needs another 10 years before I'd be interested in jumping into it. But I also feel like perhaps this is a mistake on Hornby's part, stepping away from TT now, because I feel like it's just kind of catching on to quite a few people now. There seems to be quite a positive buzz and sentiment around TT, in my opinion. Anyways, I stand to be corrected.
I think PN hits the nail on the head here. Sorry to cut you off, but the trouble with TT is that it costs nearly as much as O, and I think the range could have been they could have expanded the range a lot quicker. Hornby did their usual strategy of LNER, and maybe something a little bit modern with a Class 66 and an 08, and then expected that to capture everybody.
Yeah,
and I think that was the problem.
Yeah,
they used the Flying Scotsman.
They used the Flying Scotsman and the Mallard and went, this will work because that's always worked for us. They're relying on people who love the teapot. I'm not saying I don't like TT. I think TT is a great scale, and I think it is a very good doorway into the hobby for new modelers. I will not get back on that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think they missed the boat.
I think because some of the guys were saying that they felt like. Oh, sorry.
No, I think they.
I think some people
think they missed the boat on it. That's all. That's me.
Okay. I think some people were saying that they preferred if they focused on the N-gauge side of things, that it, rather than start TT again. Because I know it is to be fair, it's decent size and everything, but I feel like maybe try to expand upon what's already there rather than sort of starting a new scale again.
Sure. I completely agree. In my opinion, Tom, I think Hornby should have just stuck to 00, period. There's a couple of people in the chat talking about Simon Kohler and his era, and I know he had plans for TT, and I think long term he probably would have driven it a lot more. Rinker makes a good point. It's been in the European continental stuff, have had TT for the longest time. I think it's just too late.
Yeah,
I think TT's too late.
I think it's way too late.
And you make a good point about N, because I think that opens up a whole new window. But the reality is Hornby should have just focused on 00 and building that railroad range and making things more affordable in general, because now they're
doing it now. That's great.
And I think it's super awkward for them, because they're like, even if, as we suspect, they may be sort of stepping away from TT a little bit, the moment they do entirely, it looks like a complete failure for them in terms of marketing and success. And that'll hit them harder than probably financials will.
Yes.
Realistically.
Yeah.
Everyone
they've already done that.
Oh, well, there you go, Hornby. Well done.
Reputation.
No surprises, kind of thing. It's a reputational thing.
Here we are talking about exactly this point, and we won't be the only ones.
Yeah.
No.
And that will hit them.
I was actually watching a video the other day because about the Hornby live steam train sets and everything, and they said the same thing where they were short-lived, but there's loads of people still collecting them and running them, and actually they're able to run them more successful and everything. But again, it's just another one of those things where Hornby started something and now just completely done with it, and it's just another, like I said, another failure. But again, they'll still have its what's the word I'm looking for? It's cult following. It's small cult following for that scale, even if it's not being made anymore. If that makes sense, yeah.
And you can't.
I remember,
right, Tom?
Sorry?
No, I'm saying you can't abandon those those guys into the hobby now, because now you've created the scale, you've created a small market, but regardless, a market, and you can't abandon those guys. You can't just pull up the rug on them and expect them to shift across to Dapol now. So now they're between a rock and a hard place. It's a weird one.
We've got companies like Buggles Kelly Scale Models. They started, I noticed that some independent companies like Buggles Kelly Scale Models, they started bringing out TT scale versions of their stock.
But this is cause and effect. With Buggles Kelly, this is a basic. I think this is a basic cause and effect method going on here. They've seen that some people are building TT layouts. You can see that companies like Pico are getting involved in TT. I think Revolution are also getting involved in TT as well. So I think he's just gone, well, it's very simple for me to slightly scale my stuff, so I might as well do it. It makes no additional effect to me, so I might as well do it. If we see a company like Bachmann, for example, suddenly go, here's a TT range, that's when I think we can step back and go, okay, maybe TT has got more of a following than we think it does.
Right. It's better to hear it from actual main companies than it is maybe.
I mean, the prime example is, I think, Hellion. Hellion had a small range that they were planning, and then they withdrew it completely, and we've never heard of it since. And when a company like Hellion, who are, let's say they're good with some stuff and not so good with the other, but they're very prominent in O gauge, and I think that's a gauge that they fairly do well in. The fact that they looked into an entire gauge, designed a range for it, and then went, is a sign of things. But that's just me. Yeah,
I feel like they start. There's actually a few samples where Heldian have sorry, start again. They did a collaboration with Hattons where they brought out the A3 and everything, and they also tried to bring some steam locos into O gauge, but they stopped making them because of a few failed batches that came out. And I feel like if they really worked hard and if they really just kept that, it's just trial and error, just accepted that maybe the first batches didn't work out so well, they could bring out more of those. But
yeah, absolutely.
So there you are. So I think we've broadly covered individual models and scales in general, but I think one of the broader things that we can discuss is scenery, because ready-made scenery, ready-made scenic items from the likes of Woodland Scenics or Knock, or name another bigger brand than Woodland Scenics or Knock. Even these, if you want to buy scale trees and things like that, it's getting rather expensive, I think, to be able to scenic your model through manufacturer methods. But I haven't got anywhere near that yet, and I've got, I have 6 tubs of walnut shells, coffee grounds, several thicknesses of sifted dirt that has been roasted in an oven waiting to do my scenics, so I'm prepped for ground cover and ballast. But I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on costs of scenery, because you've done some yourself, done Roman version 1. I'm assuming, Tom, from some of your previous projects, you've done some scenery work. I'm very curious to see how you guys are seeing the expense of the hobby from that side of things. So I think, Tom, go first.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Well, it's actually quite amazing how many... It's actually not been too bad, personally. Like, I mean, you're looking at... I did some... Last year, me and my girlfriend did some scattered grass on my diorama behind me. And the bags for the set weren't actually that expensive. I mean, unfortunately, you do have a little bit of a... online. Relatively, you're looking around like... You're looking around like, what, £2 a bag or something like that? Or... It's not. It's cost effective in some sense, and actually, one thing I've noticed as well, there's actually a rise of independent companies making their own scenic scaffolding, including me, because I did that for a little bit, and you're looking at about roughly between, depending on the quantity of the bag, you're looking at also the colour and everything. You're looking at £3. Actually, sorry, not £2, £3 a bag, roughly. And that actually, to be fair, it does cover you for quite a bit. So it's not. You can't always tell how much you're going to get within a bag unless you've really sort of emptied it out and then just tried it on your diorama. And what's quite nice about it is you still. Sorry again. I pretty much did most of my diorama and still had loads of the scatter left. I'd probably say another 2 sections worth, depending on how much you use. So I reckon that's quite a good. It's a good investment because you don't really feel it. You know what I mean? Once you pay for it, you don't really feel like it's too much of a burden on you and everything. Like it's not like investing in in a scale model or everything. The scenics are relatively still cheap, and when I go to model shops, like the scenics that are made from wood chippings or sawdust and everything, they're still being sold quite relatively cheap. Let's say a couple of pounds, £2-3.
Interesting.
By the most, but it's never really been. You look at it and you think you get a good quality, you get a good amount, and it can fill out a whole section. You don't feel as if it's affordable. It's doable. You don't feel like there's some restrictions, of course. Obviously, it's like when you feel you have the anxiety of you want to get more people into the hobby. Well, you don't have that same kind of anxiety with quite a lot of the scenics because it is affordable, and of course, lots of people are making their own. You can find it can be quite affordable. It's quite affordable option. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for the most part, Tom. I think scenics are such a weird one because I think, well, it's great that we can buy all of these things ready-made and ready-mixed. The great thing about this hobby is that if things are too expensive, you can do it relatively cheaply if you're prepared to be adventurous and do it yourself.
Yes.
Right? So it's a bit of a weird... It's a bit of a weird one for me. Because in the past, I've used a lot of, pre-bought stuff. And that's great. And it's usually very good, especially the trees. But I got to a point where I was like, I can just make this myself. And I'm sure I can do it better than this tree that I've bought from WS.
Definitely.
There's a ton. It's what I love about like YouTube and the internet in general is that there's just a ton of resources to do stuff like this, especially the scenic stuff. I mean, we're not building locos here, right? We're building landscapes, and there's just so many great resources as to how you can do that on your own at a budget and do it good too. So yeah, scenics is a bit of a weird one.
Yeah. But you can also improvise with what you've got around you as well. That's one thing I noticed. So I work in a garden centre and everything, and there's always so many resources and so many like things you can find to actually make your own scenics with it. For example, one of the things I use for like not so much scenics, but if I'm putting like the effect of coal into a train or something, I use concentrated charcoal.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can crush it down, but it's the sort of thing you put in your terrariums and everything like that, and it's actually quite to scale. I've actually got a pot here. It's actually quite, in terms of my scale, in terms of O gauge, it does look a lot like just like miniature coal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's quite affordable. It's just because of looking around you can always improvise and. Trying to say one example. One of the things I did for a little bit, my diorama's got a bit of a rockery, and you can get things like decorative grit. So I managed to get this one quite cheap because the container split basically. So I got this for about £2, and with this, it's just little tiny pebbles, little stones. It's like the sort of thing you put on top of a flower pot. It's like a pot topper, basically. Yeah. But once you've trying to give an example, I don't know if you can see it properly, but once you put it on your diorama and everything, it looks a bit white. It looks quite bright here, but you can. So what I did with mine was I spray painted it, and then with a paintbrush, just dry washed it to kind of give it a bit of depth, a bit more realism. And of course, you can put other scatters, other like colours with it. Everything. So it's just basically just trying to think. Okay, I try to improvise with what you've got. You don't necessarily have to use you don't have to use manufactured from like war games from Hornby, that sort of thing. You can just
absolutely. That's. I mean, I think if you're prepared to be a little bit adventurous and go a little bit out of your way and think creatively as to where you could get these supplies, right?
Yes.
Go to a garden center or whatever it is. You're probably going to find what you're looking for at a lot cheaper price. The moment you slap Woodland Scenics or Hornby onto the label, you've got a whole different ball game. The price goes up 200%. And actually, I saw somebody mention it earlier. I think it was Rinka. I know Temu's a bit of a controversial topic for many people, but there are. I get it. But the quality of some of the stuff that Temu does is not bad. Like, it's pretty decent for a ridiculously cheap price. And I suspect a lot of the stuff that we're getting from Temu is probably, the same stuff that goes to Noch. Who knows?
It's very possible. My gesture like this is purely because I work for the competition.
Sure.
There you go. PN Motorsport. Ammon does have some cheap scenic items too. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
James, do you get a discount on your scenery?
I do. I get 10% discount on everything sold by Amazon. It means F-all.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I should have point out.
I align with the use of like Temu and these other knockoff things for certain things like scatters, grass tufts, things like that, things that can be easily manipulated, weathered, painted. A grass tuft is a grass tuft. If you can pick up 50 for £2, go ahead and do it, because you can manipulate it any way you want. If you can pick up a tub of scatter, or a tub of rocks or something like that for a few quid off Temu or something like that, do it, because you can paint it, you can weather it, you can manipulate it to however you want to. You can put it in a coffee grinder and grind it to dust if you need specific dust from a specific color. The amount of things that you can do outside of it. Just a quick one. So I put a poll up to ask the chat, do you make your own scatters and ballast? We've got 9 votes, so only half of you voted. Come on, people. More people vote.
I also voted because I make my own scatters as well.
50% of people are saying no, and I'm assuming...
And I also sell it.
Yeah, That's true. I'm assuming that 50% of people are also the people that are recommending Tom's scatters, which is new to me, but I will definitely be checking them out. But it seems like they've got a lot of support, at least here. So that's good to understand.
Appreciate it. I've had quite a few. I've had some lovely people test out for me. I've had I gave a few bags to Rob. There's some of the stuff that's been on his layout, and just try. Me and my girlfriend did it together. You know, we sort of bought the supplies from the garden centre and just sort of spent a few hours just making them and everything. And we're still trying to. I haven't done it for a few months now, but it needs to because of sales sort of went down a bit. But we're just trying to. And also, I've been focusing on the videos side of my work and everything. But it's quite easy. It's when you learn how to make your own scatters, it's quite easy, and you just sort of think, well, yeah, and you kind of want to try and say, well, can I sell some of this? Will people like it?
Well, if you
I should mention as well. Yes, and I should mention as well. Well, but it's still available on my eBay page and everything. But I mean, very kindly, Tom Marshall in his when he was making a video of he was doing a video about how to make a diorama and N-gauge. He very kindly used my scatters for that, so for the base and everything. I should have mentioned as well. It's still experimenting with materials. I'll be honest. I use sand for mine, but I've done it in a way so that it hopefully doesn't feel like sand. You know what I mean? When it gets not too gritty and not too soft. You know, when it's like wet and everything, and it just feels. It sticks to your hand, sort of thing. So it won't. Hopefully, it won't stick to your hand and everything. That's.
If I could, I would absolutely buy your scatter. But the reality is that the moment you tried to ship it to me, the weight alone I'd be paying through the roof.
I think.
I'll happily send you some samples.
Yes, just send me some samples.
So you can advertise.
Little baggies, and then write cocaine on
white,
the baggies.
I was going to say white scatter baggies for snow, write cocaine on it.
I haven't managed to get white yet, but I've managed to do. We managed to do pink, green, brown, and black, and that sort of thing, and a few browns and everything like that. But yeah, I haven't managed to do white. But eventually. But yeah, I mean, it's quite an easy relative process. I mean, all it is just you mix in the sand with the paints and everything, and you cook it. And I've actually got a little tiny oven down there. That was about 30 quid, and I just cooked the scatters in there for about everything dries out, and then first you have to dry the sand out. So that's another hour of just waiting for sand to cook, and then you stir it in with paint. And I don't know what else you do. Oh yes, then you put that into the oven, put the paint into the oven, wait for that to dry, and then you got to pick the bits that have completely dried out, and then it turns into natural colours, and then just bag it up, and then
Sounds like a very expensive process.
It's actually not that expensive. It's more time, but it's not that expensive. I mean, we just use acrylic paints basically. It's quite easy if you want to have a go yourself. It's quite easy to. The difference with me is I'm trying to sell it, but
there you are.
I think a lot of people prefer to use. I think people a lot prefer to use the raised, the electric grass and the and sawdust, and that's something I would like to get into, like try to experiment with. Because I found that even when I tried the sand, it gives that, you get that feeling of like sandpaper when you touch the board and everything. You just
yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Well, I think Tom, after tonight's stream, you might have a couple orders tomorrow morning when you wake up.
I will definitely be. Well, it's on eBay. Not that I'm anywhere near it.
Okay.
Just be prepared.
I'll be sending. Well, I'll send a Shunting Yard special. Samples.
Appreciate it.
I'm happy for everyone to review. Yeah.
Tell you what, Tom, I want you to mix up our own special mix of Shunting Yard grit, and it must be like blue. or something. I don't know.
Yeah, just surprises.
Do you know what? I was actually
completely ridiculous color.
Yeah, surprises.
You know what? That was actually going to be my next one. Fair enough. Blue. I've got to pay for it. I just haven't done it.
I love it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, scenics. I think that's one of the topics where certain things can be expensive. You can mention things like World War scenics, woodland scenics. There's a tree company. There's a company that makes trees, and I can't remember for the life of Prima. That's it. They're very premium, costly trees, which look great. I plan on having one or two on my layout as definitive trees. But I think there are always a way around this. People have been modeling for ages. So there are always loopholes. There are always information out there on how to do certain things certain ways, and I think that's definitely one of the best things that we can do. Let's have a.
It's quite surprising.
No, carry on.
So I was just saying, it's quite surprising when you think how much little tufts of grass are, but then you also got to think, £5 for a pack of, but then £5 for a little pack of them, but then you sort of think there's also the time effort put into actually making them as well.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Oh no, completely agree. You've got to think about the time and the effort that's going into it, and I think that's where we go back to things like Temu and other things like that. Most of these things will probably be factory produced, so that's where you can sort of take it out, and that's where I was coming up with that you can manipulate these kind of things. Prime example is when you've got coaching stock. Go and buy a bag of 500 HO scale figures, cut their legs off, oil them up a bit to make them a bit gritty and dim them down a bit, and you've got perfect coaching stock fillers.
Yes,
for about £5. For about £5, you got yourself an entire set of rakes worth of passengers without having to worry about it, because you're never going to look in and you're never going to see all the detail. It's just, oh look, there's a few people there. So it's little things like this. I think we can cover.
I don't know, James.
Unless you're doing an O gauge.
People. £5 for 500 people, and you're cutting off their legs and painting them. That sounds like slavery and abuse, dude. I don't know.
I am British.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no. I mean, unfortunately, with O gauge, you haven't got the luxury of that. You have to actually have the detail on them. I've got a couple of coaches where I've had to sort of buy figurines that have the details on them. Costs a bit extra to get them made. But not get them made. They're the Bachmann scene. For example, the Bachmann Scenics for figurines, and they also bought 2 sets just to fill up 2 of my kit builds. Mainly because you can, they've had more effort, more detail put into them, and when it comes to, if you buy a big pack of them, there's no detail and everything, so you have to do that individually. You got to you have to make time effort to actually paint the hair and the eyes and everything. You can't really. In N-Gage and Double O, you can sort of, there's that luxury of not having to actually, you don't have to have it there, but in O-Gauge, kind of is.
Well, I think that's
because otherwise you'll just make the model look more like. Yeah.
I was saying that I think that's also down to personal preference as well, isn't it? Like how much detail is too much detail.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I'm quite. For me, it's like I'd like people to sort of think it's. I don't want people. It's kind of like, because you can see that it's been sort of where it's just like a few blobs of paint on thing. I would like them to sort of think I've actually put more thought into the low gauge, but
yeah. So I think Scenics is a good thing where you can pinch some money here, there, and everywhere, but also you can definitely spend a decent amount for some decent quality. And I think Primo Trees, Tom, your scatters are prime examples of places where any expense is worth it, for sure. Let's have a quick look through the chat. Let's go back a little bit here. I'm avoiding Aaron and his chaotic questions because he pre-warned me that he wanted to bring some chaotic questions. Model train shop. So Rika says Amazon does not get close to Temu. 100% agree with you, and I work for the damn company. Let me have a few more of these, and you'll get some insider knowledge. Moss, Northeast Albert. I use some moss from my garden for bushes, and they work surprisingly well. So, if anybody in this group in the chat does not know George Williamson and his 009 builds, so he did a video recently specifically on going out and getting moss and doing bushes and things like that from it. I am akinning him to the Welsh version of Boomer Diorama.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, that is the level I see him at right now, because I see them in the same respect. His attention to detail and the way that he explains things and so on, and is making some of these scenic marvels from not just 3D printed kits or laser cut kits, but also just everyday objects, moss. And I think that's exactly the kind of thing that we need to think of when we're doing scenics. Hence my several tubs of random scatters and walnut shells.
It's like, just go outside, get some moss.
Yeah, exactly. Northeast Albert is asking, when's the next repair video, Tom?
Oh, good God. That's on hold at the moment because I've actually got. I don't want to spoil anything, but I've got quite a few in the works so far. I've got well, actually, fair enough. I've finished filming the video for a mod I did recently. It was a Hornby Gordon.
Okay.
Sorry, I know that some people don't like. Basically, what I've done is so Matt, who's in the chat, he basically gave me a Hornby Gordon as payment for for fixing one of his locos, which is on the shelf here. It's an O-gauge shoe dog. But anyway, so one of the things that was missing was basically it was the loco was missing its pickups and it needed a new ring-filled motor. But sometimes repairing ring-filled motors is a bit of a faff, so I just went for the Stratpepper Junction upgrade and installed that. And basically, the wheels weren't moving originally. So what I did to install the motor, it got it right here actually. Fair enough. So it's still a new motor. I installed the new motor, and as I attempt to make new pickups, I reused the carbon brushes holders. I don't know if you see that, but
yeah.
So because I was thinking, you could basically buy the pickups online, but I thought, why not just use what you've already got? What you've already got. So I stuck those on. I basically just cut those down to size, stuck them on the motor cover, and wired it up. And amazingly, it actually works really well.
That's very cool, Albert. So just so you're aware, Albert, you're actually watching the next video right now.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Yeah, basically. Welcome back to my corner. Yeah, in fact,
we'll be there next week.
You won't recognise that from my videos, but yeah, I've also got a video where I'm fixing actually King Ori's tornado. Fair enough. Oh. That's going to come out. Ooh. Yeah. Cool. That was very easy to do because all I had to do was just take the pickups out, and then you need new pickups. All you got to do is take the pickup cover plate off and put a new one in. That was it.
Do you want to challenge?
Did it in half an hour. Oh yeah.
Maybe.
I'm also up for a challenge.
If I get annoyed too much with this baby pannier, I might reach out.
Okay. I'm happy to do a collaboration with you, free of charge.
Okay.
Damn. Wow.
Okay.
Look at that. Perks.
Done.
Perks.
In exchange for more screen time on this live stream.
Look for Look for my owl. Owl.
No.
Where are we next?
Well, James, if you're not careful, you'll be sending him a night owl too.
I can't take that. I can't not take that offer, can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fine, Aaron. I will answer. I will ask your question. Do you think a loco in a What If livery should be the same price or cheaper than a normal model? I couldn't give a monkey's uncle. It's the same tooling. It will be a slight respray. It's going to cost the same amount to manufacture, so it should be the same price to sell.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's perfect. That is well said.
Like
no, the only difference is it's a fictional livery, and they're more fun actually.
Well, I think Hilton and I are both agreed on this. We don't like What If liveries.
No,
really?
No,
I hate them. I hate them so much.
Like I like take Rapido. I really want to get a 15XX, but I will get it in plain black over Great Western Green because it never existed in Great Western Green, and it would every time I see it, I'd be like, yeah, okay, it looks right, but it's also completely wrong, and I will never get rid of that feeling.
Okay.
And that's.
I guess they're just trying to add more variety to it, aren't they? Yeah.
Well, I get it. I completely get it.
Well, I mean, I don't mind the C. Is it the C or C1 that Peter bringing out? I can't remember. But they have a blue version of that coming out, and that I think looks. I know it's wrong to a lot of people. I think it looks okay. I think it's a bit of fun. Same with the Caledonian single having been in BR colours. I think it's interesting, and it just adds more to the collector's value. Maybe if you collect them.
I totally understand the logic and the sort of reasoning and why people would get a What If livery. This kind of circles back to RJ's comment earlier about Lionel, but there's a point, right, where a What If livery is probably too far for me, and that's the moment that you paint your your loco orange and put pumpkins on it. For Halloween. Like that's I'm done. I'm out. Sorry, that's just and you pay $900 for that. Like, why would you do that? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, there's that aspect to it. I think as long as it depends how you. I guess it depends how you market it. I mean, if it's a starter set,
sure,
maybe, and it not so expensive, maybe I'd buy it. But if it's the Alice Clark, for example, painted their black fives in like party colours, then yeah, I probably still would say no, because it's the same price. But no.
I
remember. Okay, so I remember I was looking at this. Talking about Lionel, I saw a train set where basically they did I sorry to bring Thomas back again, but it's they did a version of the party. I think it's the anniversary set, celebration set. And the only change that they've done to it compared to a regular set is just different whirling stock, and they gave Thomas a party hat over the chimney. Who doesn't have, and that's been apparently is a lot more expensive than the actual train set. Apparently, because he's got a hat.
Well, that's why. Because he's got a hat.
Yeah.
I don't know. So there you are. There's your answer, Aaron. You've got your chaotic question out of the way. We're going to start wrapping up here. So if you've got any additional questions you want to ask us, then please put them in the chat. We're hitting the 2 hour mark in about 40 seconds. So we're going to start wrapping up and ramping down here. So yeah, Aaron is agreeing.
Do you want to talk about
Sorry.
Also, I just wanted. Do you want to talk about any projects we got on the line?
Well, usually we do that at the beginning, but I think we completely skipped over that, and my projects haven't changed since last week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's worth going first then. Oi.
Sorry, man.
You. No, I'm doing outdoor I can tell you about my outdoor projects. You know.
That's too good.
I'm planting trees.
James has been gardening.
I've been planting trees.
Oh no, it's like real trees.
Yeah, real trees, not scale trees. No, I had to order some new some more 3D printed chairs, not for this layout. I have not run out for this layout, but I've ordered some more just so I don't run out. I have a personal delivery coming in April, so the beginning of March is the time where I will start doing all of my ordering for stuff that my mother will bring over to me in April. Sorry. So be prepared for new locomotives, new rolling stock, and some other elements to be coming in April. But good news, everybody! I fixed the King. I did a model. I fixed the King. The King is working. The new motor is in. She sounds great.
Yay!
And you will see her very soon actually doing something. I will be visiting my friend.
Can't wait.
I will be visiting my friend this during the week next week. And I'll be doing some final bits of filming some running shots of her on his big layout to actually get a proper thoroughbred shot of a King in full chat. So once that's sorted, once that's done, I can edit that video up and I can get a nice overview of the King and a sound installation sorted. So that's what I did last week. And I'm quite happy with myself that I got round to actually freaking doing that.
Yeah.
What about you, Tom? What are you doing recently?
Good question. Well, at the moment, a lot of my projects involving kit building are actually on hold because I've got a bit of a to-do list still. I've currently got 2 of Matt's O-gauge locomotives in the works. I've got Salisbury, the Blue Pacific. I've also got a Duke Dog, which needs a new worm gear, everything like that, and possibly a few little repairs. The webcam will reach that, but I'll just
give it a go.
Take you over here. Oh,
This is fun.
so I got my wires all. Yeah, it doesn't grease that far actually. Oh, hello. I don't know if you can see it there, the little Duke Dog.
Yeah.
Just there. That's that belongs to Matt, and I've got to fix that. and well, I'm not going to do too many different repairs on it. I mean, it needs a bit of a touch up in terms of might need new handrails, everything like that, and possibly a bit of touch of paint in some areas, but not too much. I've also got that A4, sorry, the A3 next to it, which I need to. The Hatson's A3 that's broken. I still need to fix that. But I also have the working one over there.
Oh,
on the table.
Oh wow!
But unfortunately, I can't reach.
No,
the cable won't go any further.
What A3 is that? Out of interest.
It's Captain Cuttle.
Okay.
Number 2745.
Okay.
It's unfortunately not Flying Scotsman.
Damn it! That's what I was hoping for.
But I'm still in the works of what I'm going to do with it. I think I could either paint it. I'll either plan to re-kit in. I was thinking maybe British Rail blue, like British Rail Express blue, Flying Scotsman.
Lovely colour.
Something like that.
Lovely colour.
Yeah. I'm planning to do a video where I take it apart and sort of look at what's actually how it works and everything like that. That's
cool.
I did.
Awesome.
I've got the one that works fine, and this another thing about the we're talking earlier about the amount of detail on it. When the one that actually works, that really sort of. When I saw it and saw how much detail was on it, like for example, I had like the speedometer on the piston, on the coupling rods and everything like that. You feel like all these details, and it's a loco that's meant to run around loops of track, like on track on posts and everything. And you sort of think, do you really need all that if you're just going to just be running it? Really? But
sure.
But yeah.
That's cool.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
Very cool, Tom.
Thank you.
Hilton, what about you? I know we got a video from you very, very recently, which showed an amazing amount of progress. I am very, very envious on the amount of progress that you have managed to make in the space of time that you have been disappeared.
I'm very sorry. I need to watch it.
But have you? I only watched it today. It's been out for 4 days, and I only watched it today. So you don't worry. But
Oops.
have you been able to make any additional progress since then?
So
I'm a subscriber.
I know you are, Tom, but like, it's just so disappointing. Honestly, I think, you know,
So sorry.
like, why am I even doing this? Honestly, yeah, I've had a pretty busy week. Rinka, who's been in the chats, he came over the other day, and we, I'll see if I can zoom in here quickly. There's a bit of a sneak peek, although I was hoping to save it for the next video. Let me just focus that. There you go. That is the sort of rock face that we've been working on. And that was one evening's work, and I think we really crushed it. It's really coming along there on the side of the mountain. So let's not get closer to that's what I've been doing. Yeah, and then I've got another overview coming up this weekend, so I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys. That's me.
I thought it. I'll make sure I watch it.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Well, with some luck, we can all start making some really good progress. I just want to reiterate. So Tom Marshall at Buckle Skelly Station has asked how regular this live stream is. So yes, we are live every week at 8 p.m. GMT.
Hi, Tom.
Not 9 p.m. because I'm CET. Not 10 p.m. because Hilton is 1 hour ahead of me and technically 2 hours ahead of the UK. This is the problem with having 4 different time zones for 4 different people. I believe Dan is at 8 p.m. GMT. He's at 3 p.m. So he's 5 hours behind the UK. So yeah, we're all over the place. We're honestly all over the place. So yeah, Fimbra, thank you very much for joining us, mate. It's been a pleasure seeing you. We'll talk to you in the Discord. But yeah, so yeah, we will be trying to go live 8 p.m. every week. Let's try and wrap up today with any last questions, if anyone has anything additional. And Aaron, I am not going to let you forget that you brought up the cathedral. I'm not going to let you forget it. I'm not going to. One day I will build my own. Oh yeah, so you Hilton, you might remember I put a picture of the cathedral that somebody was selling on Instagram the other day.
Yes, yeah.
The price was up there. I won't name names and I won't name prices. People will understand if they know. But the price was up there, and a bit too much for what I think it was worth. So I did not get it. I had a good, hard, long think about it.
It did look impressive.
It does,
even for a Great Western engine.
Well, you could argue. I will accept if you said Stania, Great Western, I would have accepted it, because that's exactly what the cathedral. Because that's exactly what the cathedral would have been. It would have been a Stania Great Western locomotive, and it would have been glorious.
But it wasn't. So, anyways,
we don't do what ifs here.
No. Oh, of course, yeah. I do.
So, yeah.
I would say that.
You never know. You never know these days. Let's have a last look in. So people are going to Ali Pali. Are we expecting anything? Any predictions for Ali Pali next weekend? I think we'll cover this again a little bit in more detail next Thursday, because it will be the few days beforehand. You know, it will start the next day. But do we have any early predictions for what we might see at Ali Pali? Any predictions for Bachmann? I think might end up piping up with a new tooling maybe. They seem to be aiming for more sporadic announcement timings than anyone else.
Yeah, Bachmann. I mean, I think Bachmann's summer. Their spring launch. Sorry, I have to keep changing my seasons with you guys. Their spring launch was pretty lackluster. I wasn't blown away by it. I expect that we'll probably see the 08s up and running at Ali Pali, and hopefully those automatic uncouplers are actually working this time, especially for an 08. That is a big red flag for me after the 31. I really just don't feel like that system works, so I'm super curious to see if they're actually going to improve it.
Yeah, interesting. I think I agree with Rob. So Rob and King and Hooterton are both saying that there needs to be a 28XX update. I completely agree with you. We're very much due an update. I think we're very much due some engineering samples, maybe even decorative samples after the amount of time that it's been. So yeah, I think we're definitely expecting that. 3B Rail, thank you very much for joining us and sticking around for the entire 2 hours. You have been an amazing chat participant. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Thanks, mate.
We're playing decorative samples from Hellion today.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I'm expecting Bachmann to come out with a new tooling of something older. I can't think of what it would be, but I'm expecting, because they made it sound like in their spring announcement that they would have things little and often rather than spring, summer, autumn, winter again this year. And I think the same with Rapido. I think Rapido are definitely going for, we're just going to randomly throw you, different examples, different things. The county announcement came out of nowhere. It wasn't during a regular thing, so I think that's definitely going to be coming up.
It feels like a lot of these manufacturers are kind of adopting the Acura scale approach when it comes to announcements now. Less of a big show, which is fine. And
100%
honestly, fine. I'm happy with that. I'd rather get sporadic stuff than have to wait so many months.
Tom, any predictions maybe for 7mm?
Oh no!
He says
very nice. Well, Dapol, I meant to say this earlier. I'm still waiting on the blue panniers. The 8750s.
Yeah.
But
so am I, but in a different scale.
Just trying to think. Yeah. So if anyone's wondering what I'm talking about, basically Dapol announced a while ago they were going to release a remake of the panniers in the Stevenson Clark limited livery, and the real pannier was actually number, what was it, 3650? Was it? I think that's I can't remember the number. Sorry, but the engine Didcot was painted like that temporarily when she came back into service, and now she's in obviously in a Great Western Green, and yeah, well, I'm still waiting on that because that was a very special. When I saw it for the first time, a special day. I met my friends the first time, a lot of my friends, and so that's why that's one of the main reasons I'm hoping to get that if it's still in the making. As any predictions? Ooh.
Amazing.
I'd love it if some cancelled projects like the Hellions Call It Goods. I'd love it if that was to come back into. In the limelight at some point. That's that I was looking. I think, especially Rob. I think we were both looking forward to that. But we also they said they were going to cancel it. And I think, like I was saying earlier, if Hellion needs to work on trying to improve their steam locomotives, no gauge. I think that the Call It Goods would be a good place to start off with.
I think Hellion need to improve their steam locomotives in all gauges. If I'm honest, Tom.
Yes. Hang on. I'm going to reach over here. And I'm going to say yes. They need to improve their steam locomotives in all gauges.
Even the simplest.
Okay. It'd be nice if they could. There's one thing I noticed is that they don't have on the diesel locos. They're good quality locos, but they don't have open doors, animated doors. But then That's what Dapol do, but they're going to say it's a minor thing. Yeah. But is it O? Yeah.
Well.
But that's just actually, to be honest, it's just a minor thing. I just noticed that there's a difference between what Hellion and Dapol do, so it's just.
Yeah.
You might see a meme of that at some point, but it's not. Yeah, the Colic Goods, the Pania. What else? I say maybe a remake of the 4F, maybe, because we're still stuck with the Bachmann Brassworks. If you can find it, and you have, of course, the Lima 4F.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Lima 4F is slightly smaller in terms of O gauge, because O gauge is 143 scale, and Lima's O gauge is 145. So it's not accurate to scale. It's slightly smaller, and I'd love to see maybe more up to date, better detailed version of that. Either Dapol or Hellion.
Sure.
Makes sense.
I think that's all I can think of at the moment.
Help?
In terms
anything from you?
Well, I actually liked Tom Marshall's suggestion. He said Bachmann E2.
Yeah, Bachmann E2.
I think that would be very appropriate. Considering, Hornby might get to that at some point this year. Wouldn't be surprised if they did a retool, but
yeah, I think for sure. We've been avoiding talking about a certain franchise. We've been trying to.
Yes. Sorry. I need to.
Considering this is
I broke the rules.
The 80th year anniversary. I am expecting at some point in the year Akira Scale are 100% going to release a J94 or the austerity tank in Wilbert livery. If they don't, they have completely missed the mark. It's on the picture. They just haven't said, "Look, this is Wilbert."
Whoa.
They've hidden.
Well, Dapol's done that actually.
Well, yeah.
Dapol did that about 10 years ago, but
new austerity.
Oh yeah, sorry. A new one. Got you.
I think they're definitely going to have when the panniers turn up in July, there will definitely be that bright green version. 100% there will be the bright green version as well as the darker green of the same number.
I hope not.
I don't know. I think it's.
That's the one I pre-ordered.
Oh no!
That's the one I pre-ordered.
I think they'll.
Hope it's Great Western Green.
I think what they'll do is they'll have the run of the dark green, but they'll also have like an Akira Scale exclusive because of the anniversary light green version as well. I suspect that's something they do, because you don't render something like that as an engineering prototype.
No.
you don't show that on YouTube to several thousand people, Keyword World or Hornby magazine, and not run that as a production run.
That's true. Unless you know them, unless you know the company well enough that you know it's a joke. But I guess you can't really do that in that marketing sense, really, can you? You can't really. You got to have a more serious approach to it.
That's what I feel. So we also got some. So Northeast Albert is talking about ready to run EM gauge. I mean, with the debate between HO and OO, I don't think we'll ever see a ready to run EM or P4 locomotive or rolling stock. We might eventually, but I don't think now is the right market for it, personally. Aaron has reminded of the Veil of Rydell tanks. They will never leave my mind. They are the only reason I haven't ventured into 009 yet. So I am patiently waiting. We've mentioned the E2. I think the E2 is a perfect new tool for Bachmann to pull out this year for obvious reasons.
Oh, mate, Hornby hasn't done it yet, actually.
We've still got some time, I think. We've still got
coming.
some time. And then moving further down.
In the meantime, we're stuck with this guy.
We're stuck with the Beatles. Don't show us the Beatles. That's the worst range in the universe. Tom Marshall, some NG7 will be announced by Bachmann. Yes, that would be very nice to see because it was a little bit missing. I think Rob will be very happy with that. For sure. Aaron says, that blue J94 was the LMR one. If you look at the lineup of the J94s that they have, all of the liveries, the blue one at the end, I believe, has red outlines on the front of the saddle tank, whereas the LMR one doesn't.
You noticed that, so
you're right. Yeah.
And so look, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. Seriously, all of you, everybody in the chat right now, go to Akira Scale's website. Look at the J94. Zoom in on the last, the blue one on the last thing. It does not have red. It's the other way around, isn't it? But there is a difference between that one and the LMR one. So there is definitely there is definitely an Akira Scale exclusive that they have not mentioned.
That's very clever. I don't even want to clock that.
Another one. Rapido are doing the Port of Par, the Bagnall twins, right?
I really hope they do what I think you're about to say.
Currently, only I think Judy is in yellow.
Yes.
But you can buy the pair as the green versions, the Port of Par colours, as a set. But you can only buy Judy alone. I suspect close to the time we'll get Judy and what was the Alfred? We'll get Judy and Alfred together as a set in yellow. And they might not have their names for a specific reason. I suspect.
If that
and
happens,
that is one I would buy. That is one I would buy.
If that happens, they will be purchased, and I will take divorce for it.
I'll be very unhappy, James, because I've already pre-ordered the twin pack.
Have you got the green ones already?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So if they do the yellow ones, I'll be very upset.
Right, let's wrap it up here. Tom Marshall, Wilbert is happening, but that's all I can say. I think the cat is out of the bag for Wilbert, quite honestly. Hilton, you're saying G16
or NG7
or NG? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Why not get a chorus tattoo and paint it? We're not going to talk about repainting 009. No, thank you. I'd like to see Akira Scale do a Grange. I mean, I think Hornby's tooling of the Grange isn't that ancient enough to warrant a retooling, as much as the Saint was. I think the Saint was definitely in need of a retooling, and I don't think the Grange is that far yet. And I'm going to be... This is a hot take. I think companies should do some more than Great Western for a year or so. Great Western have had a lot this year, in 2024. A lot was announced in 2024. And I think for 2025 and maybe the beginning of 2026, I think manufacturers should focus on maybe group 2. I would say pre-grouping needs to be focused on for a little bit.
I wouldn't mind that either.
Pre-grouping needs to be focused on for a little bit. They've started doing it with some LBSCR, the Rapido with the Evolution coaches and things like that. But I think all manufacturers need to start moving into that pre-grouping space just a little bit. I think there's
I think that. No, we ain't. I think now we've got the Saint. They can sort of take a rest from Great Western and focus on like LMS or any if more than like pre-grouping, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Agree with that. No, I completely agree. yeah, we'll wrap this up with the comment of the Grange from Hornby is an awful model. I have the Grange. It's and then King Ori is repeating with I have the Grange. It's lovely. The only problem is the weight. That's it. I don't have a Grange. I will get one. I believe they have the older style. Some of them have the older style 2-prong tender connections. I don't know what that's about, but I've been told they're.
I think I've seen
dog. That. So maybe
I think I've seen the Grange.
I don't know what a Grange is, so
it's another Great Western 460. That's all you care about. That's all you need to know. It's another Great Western. It's smaller than a castle. Bigger.
It's got the same sort of same sort of footplate design as a manor, if you know what manor is as well.
No.
Okay.
He knows.
No, of course I do. Thanks you, Tom. I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, sorry.
Right, there we are. And I think on that chaotic end, I think we're going to cut off the stream and we're going to end it for this week. I want to thank each and every one of you for sticking around for the entirety of the 2 hours. You have been amazing. The chat has been amazing, as with each week that we've been doing this, and we are growing and growing and growing. Thank you, Tom, for joining us as well. I know it was very, very last minute, but we have loved having you here. It's been absolutely amazing to have a guest on. I think we can call this a success. Hilt, you tell me if I'm wrong. Just start throwing some gang signs or something, so I know, so we don't have to make it too obvious.
It's like just like our pulse. It's like, was Tom a good guest? Was Tom helpful? Yeah, that's. But no, thank you so much. I've had a great time. I've really I've watched the stream the last few weeks, and I love the way that everyone bounces off each other, and it's like old times for me, because that's how I started off, was doing live streams and stuff, and it's been fun.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
To actually probably get a chance to interact with everyone and you and.
Yeah,
and I just want to mention this before we go, because just quickly, because I know. I just want to mention this quick because I know Matt is as I promised Matt I would. I know it's quite a way off still, but we have an exhibition for the Slough and Windsor Rotary Society in October on the date of the 25th and the 26th, and we have we've been confirmed for that year, and we've got some guests coming in. We've got Rob's layout, actually, the Telford O-Gauge track. The Telford O-Gauge group, they're going to be attending, and we've also got a headline. We've got Modular. They're headlining the associate, and we also have Lloyd's Mechanical Marvels as a guest.
Oh wow! Okay.
Wow.
Weekend, yeah.
Very cool.
We also got Thetford East, Lulworth, that sort of thing. Yeah, we've still got more to announce and everything, but yeah, that's the point of the the starting lineup for that exhibition, and we also have and I think the funds for that are mostly to go towards the Slough, the Bagnall's Slough Estate Sidings number 3, the restoration.
Awesome.
Because the society owns the extra locomotive for that. Yeah.
A fantastic cause.
Super, super cool.
And if you want some more information, there's a post on my community wall and everything, and you can all details about where to go and everything on there, or just check the Slough Windsor Rotary Society website.
Please send us the details as well. We'll do a post on our social medias and on the Discord as well, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. So yeah, one last thank you very much to everybody that's been in the chat. It's been absolutely amazing to speak to all of you. Thank you again to you, Tom. It's been lovely to have you.
Thank you so much.
Hilton, Dan, if you're still around, Rob, if you're still around, thank you both as always. It's been a pleasure talking to you all, and we'll see you all next week, 8 p.m. GMT, for our next topic. See you guys later. Have a good one.
Cheers, guys. Thanks so much.
Cheers.